Good afternoon. This is July 22nd, 2020. This is going to be kind of beginner, kind of intermediate techniques for Shin, Arashi martial arts. This will be thrusting kicks. Kicks are low priority. Back up. If you haven't already watched the knees and low body defense video, stop this, go back, watch that. Welcome back. Kicks, for the reasons stated in the previous video, are low priority for our style. They are slower, they take you off balance, they take away mobility, and they take longer to train than hand techniques. Conversely to that, they can be very powerful. They can be longer range. So something outside. So they are longer range, they're stronger, okay, and they're less orthodox. They might be less expected. We will have 10 beginner intermediate kicks and 4 advanced kicks in this video. The first kick we're going to be working on is front thrust kick, sometimes called a Thai or Chinese front kick. It uses the whole bottom of the foot. Depending on your flexibility and what kind of damage you're trying to do, some people with more heel, some people with more ball of foot. I prefer these to be whole flat of the foot, especially since we walk around wearing shoes all the time. This kick has 3 uses, depending on how you explode into it. It can be used to stop an onrushing attacker, okay? It can be used to push an attacker back, okay? Giving you range to escape or putting them where you want them to be, okay? And 3, it can be used to actually do damage, though this is more of a pushing kick than a punishing kick, okay? But it can knock the wind out of you. So, we'll learn it from rear first. Hands up, feet, forward stance, big toe pointed forwards. I'm going to lift my rear leg higher than you would for shin block or upwards knee, and have the flat of the foot kind of facing the opponent. And then I'm going to push forward, not just with my leg straightening like I'm doing a leg press, but with my hips moving forward. I won't be able to do this full strength because I can knock that over at 1/4 power. So this uses, think about how strong a leg press is versus a squat. That's what you're doing. So over here, our hands are correct. We lift up and push. Now, with that, we can land like I did just now, closing the distance, or come back. It is harder to come back when you move the hips forward, but that gives you an idea, okay? One more time, let me do it from the other lead. Okay. This can be done from lead. From lead, it's not really limited to being an interception technique, but it's very specialized for that. He's coming towards me, push, push. Okay. That technique is common to Wing Chun. Muay Thai calls it a teep. Karate calls it kokomegiri, front thrusting kick. Capoeira calls it binsao or blessing. Capoeira has really weird names. I think because of the history of it being a game, of it being hidden as a martial art, all that kind of stuff. Okay, so that's the most basic lead and rear front thrust kick. There's 2 variations for the beginning level, or intermediate level really. The stepping front thrust, I have to close distance to get to him. All right. So I'm a left lead. Hope you can see this pretty well. I'm going to step right lead and then kick. That can be the most powerful of them and the fastest with a step. Okay. It's all about power train going into them. So then you have to think about, why did we step in? Okay, if we're not dueling, why did we step in? The guy's threatening with a weapon. The person, we're having to hit the person to be able to move them back to get out of the way. So it's a less used move. Now, he's just barely out of my front thrust kick range. So the next one is drag front thrust. I'm going to pull my rear leg to neutral stance. It is very common, and it's a trade-off, good or bad, to come almost to a cat stance here, okay? Neutral stance, my toes will be still pointing towards them, okay? To get balance for this, some people, and even I will do it sometimes, even though it might be wrong, is turn this foot kind of sideways, so my toes are pointing towards you guys now. And then I'm going to, okay? That's kind of like the difference between step jab and step cross. Okay, it just depends on range. All right, so lead, rear, walking or stepping, and drag. All right. The advanced variation, which I've only ever really seen in Wing Chun, maybe Savate. Yes, Savate. Okay. Wing Chun and Savate, and in the last couple of years, it's been used in MMA controversially. It's the cross stomp kick. Okay. Depending on the flexibility and mobility in your hip joint, this may be great for you. This may be terrible for you. I want everybody to know it, even if it's not the kick they commonly deploy. I'm going to move this back just a little bit so you can see a little better. Okay. Whereas the front thrust or front push kick comes straight down the line, a cross stomp will chamber to the side, almost looking like a returning wave kick, and fire this way. Okay. I personally did not use this kick in sparring for years, believing that it was always an endanger to the knee. If you throw it hard, and they are moving in, it can hyperextend the knee like a knee bar without giving your partner time to tap. I have learned that if you throw it higher up on the quad, it's safe for sparring, as long as you hit and pull back, not drive through. I have hurt students in class. I have been hurt in class. This is probably my most used kick, and I've yet to hurt somebody. I have stopped someone's forward motion, and I have gained advantage for the next attack. So I would not throw it to the kneecap in sparring. I would throw it high on the leg lightly, but know that pushing harder, if the heel drives in, you can frog the leg. If it lands where I like it to land, on the cup of the foot, you can push the leg back. And if it's locked out, then you can damage the knee. If someone's standing with an open stance and you kick here on the inner thigh, it can cause the leg to go out. If you kick behind the knee, you're behind them, it's a good way to force them to kneel. Some combative systems, some Salat will teach it. It's like you're stepping there to crush. I don't know. That's a difficult one to test and train. Can you throw it lead? If you have the hip flexibility, it's a lot more common to throw it rear. Could you do it walking step? Yeah. One of the advantages of it is it is a very direct shot, leaving yourself still on center line, and it's hard to see. Okay, scraping kick. I don't have a dummy inside, traditional Wing Chun dummy inside, but the wooden dummy has a leg that comes out and down. It is very good for training a close range sidekick, which we'll do later, or scraping kick. Scraping kick gets a hold of the top of the shin with the side of the boot and runs down. You could do that with the cross stomp, scrape on the inside. So, I guess side scraping and cross scraping. So, make it 11 kicks. Why do a scraping kick? Well, you could do it in front of you. You're kind of tangled up. You could do that cross stomp to the shin or the top of the foot, right? But this is scrape down, scrape down. If we're off center line here, and we're going to try to turn back in center line, but we got to do something to get their attention. Okay. Side kick. So, side kick is common to most striking styles. Karate, Taekwondo, Muay Thai, Wing Chun, even traditional Japanese Jiu-Jitsu. It got talked trash about for years because people weren't landing it. They weren't landing it because people were going from point sparring to MMA, or they're going from kickboxing or another art and saying, what's my best kicks? You know, side kick is like the front thrust kick, but to the side. We'll go over both. There's some variation in it as to snap or thrusting. And different people define it differently, but the way I like to define those is the snap side kick does not turn completely off center line, turns 45 degrees instead of 90, and the foot will be at 45 degrees instead of 90. Okay? It is not as powerful, but it's faster. The more powerful, turning all the way and firing, okay, is slower but stronger. Okay? So either one of those is from lead there. All right? Let me do it against this one. Okay? So snap, I'm going to turn just slightly. Thrust. Listen to the difference. Snap, I tend to hit with the heel. Thrust, I tend to hit with the flat of the foot. Some schools say you should hit with the blade of the foot. I'm hitting here or here. Some schools say you should hit here, the blade. That takes some mighty flip flexibility, and if you're wearing shoes all the time, I'm sure there's a good argument for it in their style, but don't worry about it here. So again, one more time, from lead, snap, thrust. Okay, do the other side. So you see I only turn there versus turning here. Okay, and my rear foot turns out, turning me off center line. If you do not turn out, your hips get tangled and there's a lot of pressure on that knee. All right, from rear, same with snap and thrust. From rear, snap. Okay, you see my center line's here now, easier to come back. Rear. Okay. Some people look at my side kick that I'm calling a thrust side kick, especially off the rear, and say it's more like a back kick. That is an argument of terminology that doesn't matter to me. Okay? Because we're about to do back kick. There's advanced version, one advanced version, two advanced versions. But we'll go into that at the end. Back kick. My opponent is behind me. They are too close behind me for me to just leave. But they are close enough behind me that from rear or lead, okay? Sounds backwards, right? This is still your lead foot because you're facing forward, okay? After you throw this kick, you should probably turn back towards this guy. Okay. All right, so that's all of the base, I guess 11 kicks, 11 thrusting kicks. Now into the weird stuff in thrusting kicks. I've only ever seen the following kick in Wing Chun. It might exist in some northern kung fus. It's a sidewards front thrust kick. From here, my opponent is here. Here, I open my hip, chamber, and fire. See, I didn't want to do that, slippery. I've only ever really seen that kick done from neutral stance. I don't know why not just throw a side kick there. I'm sure there's some reasoning, but kicks aren't my specialty. Depending on your hip flexibility, it might be better for you. I can get more height out of it than I can a side kick. But the higher the kick, the more likely it is to get grabbed. All right. I show you that because I want you to know it freaking exists. If I had you demonstrate that for a test, it would be the very basic, so you can demonstrate, teach the next person, hey, this is something that exists. So that's all on the front thrust. Okay, in between scraping the side scraping kick and side kick is the close range side kick. On a Wing Chun Wooden Dummy, there's that leg I was talking about, and it's usually angled here, okay? That teaches you to throw an extremely close range side kick. If I get put off center line here, I have trained my hips to be able to throw a side kick there. So his base leg still turns. I've probably got a hold of an arm. Okay? This is like, oh crap, I can't get out of here yet. I need to do something to get out of here. It'll do one of three things. It'll shove him back. If you are massively lighter than he is, you'll ride the force away, or you'll do damage to him. This can go to the quad, groin, or stomach, or solar plex if you're flexible enough. Advanced application, someone takes a lot of time to train. You gotta have decent flexibility in your hips for it. But it's useful. Okay. Stepping side kick. Stepping side kick is common to Taekwondo, Wushu, and karate that's had to spar against Taekwondo and Wushu and other karate schools. It is extremely long range. It's extremely powerful. You've probably seen Bruce Lee do it in at least 2 movies. But it takes you off, it demands being off center line, and it's a super long range move. Why are we closing the distance from here to here with a kick? There could be some reason. But I primarily teach this so people knows it exists. There are 2 variations, and there used to be a lot of debate in our school about which variation. One of which is faster, the other which gives you greater range. I don't like crossing the feet. It gets taught in a hanchy form, and there's some very specific uses for it. generally speaking, if I see a student crossing their feet, I'm going to knock them over. Gently, politely, but they're going to get knocked over. One of these variations takes that. All right, so the simple variation is you're going to click your heels together like you're Dorothy and you want to go home. All right? So I'm here, I reach out, click your heels together, kick. Shouldn't be looking at the camera, I should be looking at the target. Okay? Very Johnny Cage shadow kick. The other variation, I step behind myself and kick. This angles my hips like a back kick. Somebody else it might not. One of the strongest versions of the side kick. But you're off center line for a long time, you're charging a long distance, easy to counter. Spin, back kick, spin back side kick, spinning turning side kick, tons of different names. A lot of styles will teach straight from here, step across yourself, turn and kick. Again, this is one of the times when a lot of schools would say it's a back kick, and some schools would say it's a side kick. There's very little variation there. Why the hell did you just turn your back to this guy? Yes, it's a powerful attack. Yes, if it lands in the solar plexus, they are going down. Our school teaches it for, I am already off center, and he had a strong guard on this side. I can't come back this way, so I'm going to come back that way. Bad example, because I missed the kick. I can't come back this way. Boom. Okay? If you're here, liver. Okay? But it's easy to miss. Solar plexus. Can't come back this way. Turn, kick. Okay. With the side kick, a lot of karate forms will teach a back fist at the same time. Step side kick, lead side kick, rear side kick, spinning back kick. If someone's never seen that, it's real easy to make them block the back fist and get kicked in the stomach. Another common combination is jab, kick, punch. Okay, kind of a crossover punch with a kick in the middle. Okay, some people are very vulnerable against that because it is a bi-level attack. It's not uncommon to throw a jab and a cross stomp at the same time because it distracts from the kick. It is not uncommon with the rear side kick to set up with a jab cross. A feeler kick. Okay, that's a lot more common with a round kick that we'll get into in the whipping kick setup. We're not going to go into shadowless kicking today. That'll probably be like the fourth kicking video. So I think the next kicking video will be round kicks, front snaps, whipping kicks, and then we'll work on exclusively on kicks with punches, and then finally shadowless kicks. Shadowless kicks is definitely an advanced thing. Okay, so let me check my notes here, make sure I didn't leave anything out. Lead, front thrust, rear front thrust, stepping front thrust, drag front thrust, and the weird side front thrust. Cross stomp, scraping. Then we added the cross stomp scrape. I think somebody called that the pursing kick. Something about some Irish bar game. I don't know. Lead side kick, rear side kick, close range side kick, stepping side kick. Back kick, both from lead and rear. Spinning back kick. So yeah. 15 thrusting kicks. One more time, let me emphasize, kicks are not intrinsic to our system. They are a useful thing when you learn them. They are not have-to-haves. I want you to know kicks just well enough to be able to teach them for future students and to be able to know how to defeat them. All these thrusting kicks, with the correct timing, can be defeated with the 4 basic leg blocks. Shin block, outwards, inwards, and returning wave kick. When we get to shadowless kicking, I'll talk about using the kicks to defeat kicks. Yeah, make a note of that. There are ways to use kicks to defeat kicks depending on the range. Cross stomp, front thrust, side kick can defeat other ones of those or round kicks. Again, that is not my specialty, but I want you to know it exists. All right. Train well, and I'll see you soon.